Well, we really enjoy developing high-end products for the sim racing market, and we really get enthusiastic about products which we want to use ourselves as well.
And this is the accumulation of almost 5 years of slow, continuous development. One of the most important things that I've learned over the years is that I don't know everything. I have some ideas, but it's useless if I'm the only one who likes the ideas. So yeah, we do have to listen, and we're quite happy to listen to feedback from sim racers, but also from professionals who use our products.
Here is a load cell, not off the shelf, but designed specifically to our own specifications. Springs also made to our specifications right here in the Netherlands. And best of all, the new rubbers also developed especially for this product, for the Sim Pedal Sprint.
Innovation really is at the core of a company. We started this company because we wanted to make products that were better than what was available at that time. Therefore, we're developing all the time. And with the Sim Pedal Sprint, we really made a product which is a few steps ahead in the market again.
Well, we always follow the main forums at iRacing, and our German sim racers have a very active forum. And we get a lot of email and questions as well. Customers who, for example, say, well, those pro pedals, I love them, but perhaps I would like the brake pedal to feel a little softer. So we take that feedback in the new design with our custom developed rubbers, so that we can provide a slightly softer as well as slightly stiffer brake pedal. So the range of operation is increased, which is quite a big improvement.
This one gives absolutely the best feel, and it has been tested to over 1 million cycles, and it's still in one piece. So we have absolute confidence in this one.
What we've always had and still have with these pedals is that the form kind of follows the function. So we want minimum space usage, so everything has to be as compact as possible, but we also want minimum weight. And I'm always a spreadsheet guy, so I love to make calculation sheets where we can predict the forces of the clutch pedal, like how it falls off towards the end of the pedal. There's no guesswork, it's all engineered and designed, so beforehand we know with this spring, with this layout, we get this pedal force.
These pedals are very suitable for sim racers who build their own cockpit. They have a heavy-duty construction, they can work with high loads on a brake pedal, they're very accurate, they offer a lot of adjustability, and they really make you feel like you drive a real race car.
We have a software that we include, that we've custom developed, where you can change all sorts of settings, and it applies to the hardware. So the settings are saved on the chip on the controller board. So you can exit your simulator and you can change the curvature, the response curve of a pedal, and go back to your simulator, and your pedal response will be different.
Not only for Assetto Corsa or Automobilista, but also for iRacing. So it works with iRacing. That makes it very, very easy to set up. Easier than we've had in the past.
Actually, some of the guys who do the assembly work on the work floor, they were already tweaking with it. This is a good setup for drifting, or I think this will improve my braking. So we see that there's a lot of room for tweaking. And let's face it, all sim racers, we like to tweak and mess with things. And there's an almost endless amount of options you can do with tweaking our software. And saving it as a profile, so you can always load it back, even share the profiles with your friends who use the same pedals.
Nowadays in sim racing, people can drive a large variety of cars. With the Heusinkveld Smart Control software, you can set up your pedal set for a road car or for a Formula 1 car and really drive away in just a few mouse clicks.
Hello everybody and welcome to one of the greatest race venues in the world of motorsport. Yes, I am biased, but it is my favourite track. It is Oulton Park here for the Heusinkveld TCR Series, TCR Heat Series should I say, brought to you by Sim Racing Esport Union and Heusinkveld. And well, hopefully everyone is well and you've had a good week. We've certainly been looking forward to this one after the drama and excitement at the Nürburgring. We're heading over to the UK. There you go, you see the schedule up on screen. Oulton Park this week, and then on the 3rd of July head on over to Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia, with Zandvoort, Interlagos and Silverstone rounding out this 6-round series. But we've certainly had plenty of action so far on this championship. My name is Paul Smith. Alongside me in the commentary box is Sumil Arora with Arjuna Kankipati. I'll get there eventually, on the cameras for us and producing this stream. But yeah, we are in Little Budworth in Cheshire, north of England. An absolutely stunning venue, and this is how heat racing works here in this series. Up to 10 drivers in each of the heats, with the top 5 finishers advancing to the feature race. Those are the drivers who don't qualify in that top 5 get a further opportunity in a consolation race, with only the top 5 from that race making it to the feature race, which will see all of the top 5s from each of the heat races, and then at the back of the grid the 5 from that one. We have, of course, had one round of the championship, and speaking of the championship, Sumil, well, the man on screen right there, Ross Balfour, certainly had a good time out at Nürburgring.
Oh, yes, he did. Firstly, hello and welcome everyone. This is me, Somil, over here. And well, Ross Balfour, what a man he was. He won in his heat race and also in the finals. He was dominant in both the heats. In fact, he wasn't under much pressure because he didn't really make any mistake. He didn't put a single foot wrong. So he led from the front in both of his races, and of course had a commanding win in this one. So hopefully we're going to have someone being right at the back of his car, and maybe we should see some good battling with Ross Balfour over there. But so far, so good from Ross. He is the championship leader, but Cooper is hot on his heels as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you can see, they're currently in qualifying, with Ross actually making up to provisional pole position. And these drivers, Cooper and Balfour, certainly had a good opening round at the Nürburgring. Don't know if we can quickly bring up the championship standings at all on screen, but certainly you'll see, if we can do that, the top 10 of the championship. There you go. So Ross Balfour, the points, it's not the usual point system, it's a heat race point system, so that's why the points are all really close together, and it's scaled depending on how many drivers are in each of the heat races. But Ross Balfour first with Jason Cooper, second Sandra Petrozello in third, with Fraser Smith in fourth place, who had to have a storming recovery drive, did Fraser, to get his way through, with Patrick Kumnicki and Dennis Neidhart, Tim Stebani with Samuel Dunstall, Kevin Weinrich and Marcus Eichhorn rounding out the top 10. But that is going to be the end of qualifying. So we are going to get the first of our heat races here today. So the qualifying, the grid for this first race then will look a little like this. Here you go. Ross Balfour then, pole position with Dennis Neidhart second. Michael Schurtler in third place, with Andrei Rakovic in fourth from Team Tim. Then run down the order there, Marcel Fritsch with Max Riedmuller, Stephen Freiberghaus with Chassanet Vincent in 8th place. The 8 drivers in this first heat here today. It's a full pace lap around this track. And, well, it's not a full pace lap, should I say. They're going to be starting this pace lap just before Druids. And, well, what are your expectations here then, Smil?
Oh, well, this race, I think it's going to be quite a lot of fun. Naturally, of course, Oulton Park is a circuit that's fairly narrow, and it's I mean, many people compare it to the back alleys of New York. Not that I've been there, but it's just so tight. And to make a good move over there, you have to use every single inch of the track. So maybe you may not see drivers going for a move because it's not so easy. But that said, it could be a big crash fest, and I'm expecting a good race. Again, I have to say it all the time. The TCRs, they only stand for totally chaotic racing cars. And that is pretty much a representation of what you're going to get here today. I think it's going to be a treat, and I hope to see Ross Balfour battling it out against the other cars as the base lap has now begun.
Yeah, so the drivers pull away. Only 7 drivers actually on the grid here, so we are missing 1 car from the starting grid here in this opening heat race. But plenty of fast-paced action here. Each of these heat races is going to be 6 laps long, and so you're not going to have a lot of time to get things done. As Samil mentioned there, tight and twisty. Certain Joe Winkelhock, former British touring car champion, compared this to a mini Nürburgring back in the mid-90s. Well, we'll have to wait and see. But it is then Balfour leading us away. Green flag in the air. Away we go then. 6 laps. The first heat race is underway. 2 by 2 down into turn number 1, Old Hall. And look at that to the inside. That's one of the Heusinkveld engineering cars trying to make a move on Dennis Neidhart. That's Michael Schottler. He's going to have to slot in behind because here comes Andrei Rakovic now into Cascades. Little bit of contact. Schottler goes off there, so he's going to drop down to the back of your field. That's not ideal for him in this opening race as they head on through Island Bend for the first time. Tyres will be cold, rear tyres especially so, as they head on into the Shell corner. Cambered in your favour around here, and then you head on out of there towards the first of the 2 chicanes. Britain's is the first one. You're going to clatter this first curve, basically cut over it. Watch the tyre walls on the apexes and then up over hilltop and drop downhill towards the second chicane, which is Hislops. This is one of your overtaking opportunities here. You can make moves into Hislops and then get it over to the left for Knickerbrook, the right-hander here. As you come up the hill, as we look back, underneath the bridge, up Clear Hill, in towards Water Tower, the left-hander, and then Druids, the double apex, right-hander. Look at the cars flashing through, shot there, single file for the time being as they head on out of Druids down towards Lodge Corner, and then you will see them go plunge down and then back uphill through Dealey. That's a lap here, and it's a fast-paced lap around here, but we've got action here, Samil, then. This is over 3rd place at the moment.
Oh yes indeed, that start was a rather frantic one. Schottler of course being pushed out, and quite simply 2 into 1 doesn't go together. Now though it is Rakovic and Riedmuller, if I'm not mistaken, while scrapping it out for this 3rd position. And yes indeed, I think not these 2 guys are currently safe at this particular point in time because the top 5 goes through. But there still is a lot of context because your finishing positions for this race determine your grid position for the final one. So this one, well, it's not for the sake of nothing. Right, they're battling it out quite well over here for this left hand. It's a fast one. Oh dearie me, they're going side by side. This is the battle for 5th place. This is the one that matters because this is the one for the final qualifying position for the final race. This is Marcel Fritsch and Stefan Freiberghaus. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but they're still going wheel to wheel. I think it's some good racing action that we're seeing here. Gearbox to gearbox. Past the Britain chicane. Nothing doing over here. Perhaps something into Hislops if he's close enough. It's a tricky track to pass this one, so you'll have to force your opponent right ahead to force them into a mistake. That's going to be a tricky task, but if doable, the rewards are massive. Oh, they're going side by side here, Paul.
Yeah, so that is a slower moving Riedmuller. He's obviously had an incident then coming out the chicane. Might have even got a corner cut through the first chicane at Britain's as they head on up over hilltop, so he had to back out there. So now both the Heusinkveld engineering cars are at the back of your field here. So Riedmuller drop it down to 6th. Michael Schottler is in 7th place, but he's now at the back of the tail end of his teammate as he goes into Lodge. In fact, his teammate Riedmuller is going to let Schottler pass. So a little bit of team orders there, perhaps, or maybe Riedmuller, knowing that he's not quite as quick, giving Schuttler the best opportunity to try and get into that 5th place, that important 5th place here, Zamil, because Steven Freiberghaus is on the bubble here.
Yeah, exactly. And well, if you were just wondering how these cars were able to go just so wide at turn 1, well, there's a bit of a mixture over there. It's not exactly grass, so it's a mixture of grass and tarmac, where you can actually put your car really wide and still be able to have a lot of pace in there. So the drivers, of course, using the track limits to the maximum. You give racing drivers an inch, they'll take a kilometer. Right, now the Heusinkveld cars, they're playing it smartly, executing team orders perfectly. Schuttler, of course, was involved in that major incident on the first lap. Somehow, he was able to keep his car together. Now, though, he is fighting it hard, trying to get that 5th position in.
Yeah, we've also got close action between 2nd and 3rd place as well, although that is gapped out a little bit. The important battle really is this one that you could see then up over Hilltop. And so there's been an incident further down.
Oh boy.
And that is Schuttler. He got into the back of Freiberghaus. We'll probably get a replay of that very shortly. In fact, here it is. And just on the brakes, getting into the back of Freiberghaus. I don't know whether he'll have a little bit of damage from that Schuttler, but he does drop to the back of the pack now. But that does mean that Freiberghaus now is also out of the top 5 here, Smell.
That's what happens. Things doesn't really work both ways. So now both of these drivers have a long recovery road up ahead of them. And with only 3 laps to go, things don't seem to be in their favour. Oh, Schuttler just comes in and bangs him on the back. I don't know whether he misjudged his braking point or whether he was just trying to be a little bit too aggressive. But again, you kind of see the desperation kicking in. And these drivers know for a fact that whenever they're not in the top 5, whenever they're right behind, you can kind of see their excitement and the energy and the kind of desperation to try and get in that position evidently. So it happened in the Nürburgring round with so many drivers just going a bit too aggressive to try and get that position. We've just seen a perfect example of that right here. Schuttler losing 4 positions since the start of this race. Vincent is also here. I don't think he's taken the start. Of course, he's not related to Will Vincent of Racesport, but he's not really taken the start here. Freiberghaus in 6th. He's on the fringe here. If he can get 1 position in of Riedmuller, who seems to be way far out over here, if something like a miracle can happen, then Freiberghaus can move into the finale directly. Otherwise, of course, he does have the consolation race right for him. What's happening at the top, Paul?
I'll tell you what, I think that the guys at the back now are just too far behind. With them on lap 4 already, I think, barring any errors or mistakes, that Freiberghaus and Schuttler are going to have to rely on the consolidation race, that final last chance saloon there. But Ross Balfour, he's not messing about. He's starting to move forward, 1.8 seconds ahead of Dennis Neidhart in 2nd place. Andrei Rakovic in 3rd with Marcel Frisch in 4th. And Max Riedmuller, the Team Heusinkveld car, or Team Heusinkveld, sorry, should I say, in 5th place. There your qualifiers at the moment. And then there's about 5-6 seconds back to 6th place. So, as I mentioned there, Smelt, not a lot happening. I mean, you can see these two battling out, but this is for 6th and 7th place, and Freiberghaus just doesn't seem confident with the car in the brakes there, and here comes Schuttler then.
Yes, indeed. Freiberghaus, of course, struggling quite a bit in this race. He'll try and see, if something he can figure out the right setup or something like that for the next one. But for now, though, he's just letting that position go a bit easily. And Schuttler, of course, goes to the inside and well and truly seizes that position. But Freiberghaus not really putting some sort of a comeback race. He's actually trying to get a bit aggressive. He doesn't really seem to have the same sort of pace, though, but he's not backing off now. 5th lap, this is only a 6th lap race, this one. Not exactly the longest in the world, but you still can kind of see a lot of good short action in these races. Of course, this position, not the most relevant in the world, I'll be honest, because both of these drivers, from the looks of it, they're going to the consolation race. But again, we won't mind some good racing, would we?
It is relevant to a degree, because it'll help dictate their position, the starting position in the consolation race as well. So let's not forget that. So they will fight for that position tooth and nail. But I just don't think that Freiberghaus has the pace here to be able to get ahead of Schuttler. There's a battle for 4th place emerging now. Max Riedmuller and Marcel Frisch. They are battling it out then. So there's a WS Racing Esports car versus Team Heusinkveld car. Getting closer within a second, but with time running out, we've only got one more lap to go. We're on the penultimate lap on this one here. Ross Balfour going to be crossing the line very shortly to get the white flag and get the start of the final lap here. But this track, we mentioned about how narrow it is, and it just serves to show here, Smil, that it's difficult to overtake here, but overtakes can be made around here.
Well, overtakes can be made if you've got the cojones, that's what I would like to say. It's not really the most overtake-friendly circuit, but if you plan your move off really well, if you've got a good exit and you're in a good momentum, maybe then you can force the driver right ahead of you to make a mistake and you could capitalize on something like that. Perhaps the chicanes can work out, maybe turn one if you're a bit too daring, and perhaps the hairpin that's coming up as well. So there are no shortage of opportunities, but again, it's rather tough to execute something over here. And that doesn't play out in the favor of Max Riedmüller. Of course, this is the final lap. He's on the bubble at P5. Of course, he seems to be secure, but of course, as a driver, you always want to get ahead. You always want to capitalize on the next position and maybe improve your qualifying position for the final. So Riedmüller just trailing him back there as we see the lovely trees around surrounding the circuit. Well, he's closing in a little bit. Paul, do you think there's a realistic chance for him to get past? Because he's getting closer ever so much.
Oh, he's going for it. He's going for it. You're not going to make the move there at Knickerbrook. Really, you want to set yourself up for going up the hill at Clay Hill, past Water Tower into Druids for the final time. It's getting the run out of this corner. Get the speed out this corner. Try and get the inside line for Lodge. But we're going to have to look forward because the race leader, Ross Balfour, is going to come across the line then to take the win in this opening heat race. So that's going to be a win for him. Dennis Neidhart in second place with Andrej Rakovic in third place. And then Marcel Fritsch and Max Riedmüller will round out the top 5. Just 2 more drivers to come across the line. And then we'll be heading over to the second heat here. But there we'll get our official results up on screen. And then we'll be able to quickly go through those that have qualified for the final. So, results then. Ross Balfour, your winner there. 3 seconds in the end, ahead of Dennis Neidhart, with Andrej Rakovic in third place. Marcel Fritsch in fourth, with Max Riedmüller. Those are your qualifiers. The other two, Schottler and Freiberghaus, will get another chance in the consolation. Now, onto the grid, and it is Alessandro Baccialeghi from Italy in pole position with Fraser Smith. We saw a hard charging run from Fraser in the final of last time out. Omar Shama in third place with Marian Hensel in fourth place. Fifth is Sandro Petrozelio, the man who's in third place in the championship ahead of Marcus Eichhorn, and then Philip Eckhart rounded out the top 7. So, Simil, we saw race number 1 there. What are your thoughts as these drivers get on to their pacing?
Well, that was a bit calm. I mean, of course, I'd like to call it as a calm before the storm. That's one way to look at it. Of course, in this race as well, the drivers will be a tad bit more cautious because they know that if they go on the grass at this circuit, it's a bit like a lumberjack match in WWE, because this grass is just waiting on the side, and the moment you come over to it, it'll just thrash you and beat you and throw you to the barricades. So of course the drivers need to avoid that, so they will be a little bit more cautious. But when you see drivers fighting for that crucial 5th spot, that is when things can get really exciting. Here we go, Paul. The green flag is up in the air and the pace car should be peeling it any moment now.
Yeah, so who's going to be Ric Flair or who's going to be Grandmaster Sexy? We'll find out very shortly indeed, as away they go then for heat number 2. Down into turn number 1, and is Baccialeghi from pole position, holding an inside line. He knew immediately going into Old Hall that he needed to be able to keep that inside line blocked to stop Fraser Smith making a move. Fraser Smith can be a bit, I don't know whether the word is aggressive, but certainly will not be shy in making a move forward. The rest of your field going through. Omar Shama in third place ahead of Hensel, with Petrozelio in 5th place, that important 5th place. Eichhorn and Eckhart are currently the drivers outside of your top 5 as they head on into the Shell hairpin. 2 teammates there, nose to tail, the 96 and the 50. That's Hensel and Petrozelio. They are up there, and in fact, there's a move for third place into the chicane, into Britons. A little bit of contact, side contact there, and before you know it, Hensel has gone from 4th place down to 6th there.
Now that's why I call them totally chaotic racing cars. These guys just love getting their elbows out, and that was a classic example here. They go side by side. Oh boy, they make contact once again. These guys just absolutely adore trading in, and this battle is not yet over. Battle for P3, if I'm not mistaken. That's Petrozelio and Icon, if I'm not wrong. Here they come up the hill, past the bridge. Is there a chance to make him move here for this right-hand corner? We ride on board with Icon. Oh my god, he's making a lunge. Oh, just look at him riding the curbs over there. So Icon getting really aggressive, and he desperately wants to move up the order, Paul.
You don't make a move into Druids. That's not the right place to make the move here at this point of the race. You want to set people up on the exit of Druids heading down towards Lodge. But look at this, 3rd and 4th place then. Battling it out across the line, then it's Bacialega with Smith in 2nd place. They're covered by Hartham 2nd, and then it's these two battling it out for 3rd place. A little bit of paint traded there. Shama and Petrozelio heading down towards Cascades again. Through
on the outside.
left-hander. Yeah, he's not going to make that one work, but he's setting himself up here. If you can get the line right going into the right-hander at Shell, if you can force your driver in front to be compromised through Shell, you can get the run out of that corner into Britons, and I think that's what he's trying to do right here is Petrozelio as they're heading through in towards Britons once again. So these 4 together, and all teammates behind, don't forget. So Petrozelio, Icon and Hensel, all teammates there, all wanted to work together. The leaders are ahead, but they're half a second between them. But this is the important part right in this race. Normally, in a race, you'd be wanting to look at the leaders and look at the lead battle. That's not really the important matter here in this race. It's who drops out of this race here, Simil, that matters.
Exactly, so in this case there are going to be 3 winners and 1 loser, and one of them could actually be the Liebherr cars that we're seeing right here. Petrozelio in the last race, he stayed out of trouble, to say it that way. He had a very calm and quiet race, but in this one he's just been right in the thick of it. He's a fairly aggressive driver, we've seen it time and again, and Chama has to defend for all his might to keep that mighty important 3rd position. 3 Liebherr cars, 3 teammates. They have to work together to get something done. If they scrap against each other, it could be a chance for Chama to run away, as we see yet another lap ticking down in this rather short 6-lap race, this one. So lap 3 is done. 3 more laps to go, Paul. They have to get something done rather soon.
Well, we're on to the start of lap 3, should we say. So at the end of the lap, it will be the halfway point of the race. You can see the positions gained and lost. Hensel losing out the 2 positions from that move going into Britons. Britons really isn't a normal place to make a move, but you can make moves there. As here we go, battle for 5th place. Change positions between the teammate Icon, running wide. That's actually dropped them back a little bit here. And Hensel is putting pressure on his teammate here. But Petrozelio, now look at that, 1.1 seconds ahead of his Liebherr Esports teammate. As they go into Britons once again through that chicane, up over hilltop. Important to get a good run out of that chicane because it's an uphill. It's quite a steep uphill to start with, and then you plunge downhill heading in towards the Hislop chicane. And then Knickerbrook, the right-hander at the end of this, the right-hander that they're going through now. So, at the moment, it is Bacialega in the prime seat here in 1st place, with Fraser Smith in 2nd place. Omar Shama and Sandro Petrozelio, they've sort of broken away from that battle for 5th place. I will say, Philip Eckhardt here, Samil, he needs to just find an extra gear here and to try and claw these guys in. As I mentioned, we're at the halfway point of the race now as they come across the line. So just 3 more laps to go. As it appears we have maybe lost Sumel, so we'll carry on with that. And I just looked in the background of the shot, and it looked like that Eckhardt has actually dropped back a little bit. So that means that he's getting chances less and less of getting through, and hopefully we've got some there.
Oh yeah, just a minor issue that we saw over there. But yeah, Eckhart, things didn't really work out so well for him in the last round. He was just on the fringes of both on the Consolation and the Heat Race. So yeah, hopefully he can find another gear. He doesn't really have a lot of time. We're already into lap 4 out of 6. So yeah, realistically, he has to bank on that Consolation Race that we're going to have after the next heat. But yeah, if he can find an extra gear in that race, maybe there could be a chance of him getting a decent result in the final race that we're going to have later on today. Right, the battle at the top is just getting a bit better. They're still close to each other, not really daring enough to make a move, but again, just look at that, he's just running away. So this driver that we've got here at the top, Bachelega, he just came into the series over here at Oulton Park, didn't compete at Nürburgring, but all of a sudden he's made himself comfortable and he's feeling at home. He's just dominating the proceedings so far. I wonder what it'll be like if he takes the action to Ross Balfour. That should be one battle to watch out for, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see Fraser Smith there in that full send car, just dropping back a little bit, but as we've mentioned time and again, you don't really need to worry about battling for position too much. I mean, you can see on lap 3 lost 0.479 of a second. That last lap just under a tenth of a second loss. So Fraser, he's in a solid position right now. He'd be looking at starting around 5th place in the final here. So at the moment, he's in a good spot. He doesn't need to push too hard. He just needs to keep it on the black stuff. That's all he needs to do. The battle for 3rd and 4th, that's still going on with Shama and Petrozelio as well. So those two, they're wanting to try and dice it a little bit here, Smil, as we're on the penultimate lap. But at the moment, they're just too far apart.
Yeah, exactly. They're a bit too far apart, as you correctly mentioned. But if they get a bit too close to each other, if they fight a little bit too much, it could just open the window of opportunity for all the drivers right behind them. So again, you have to be aggressive, but you need to be aggressive with a great degree of control as well, because they're right on the edge. They make one mistake and they could possibly be swallowed up by the other cars right behind them. And it could so happen that one of these cars couldn't go in the final. Oh, look at that. The two Leipa teammates are fighting it out against each other. This, ladies and gentlemen, is for the final qualifying slot for the finale. And Hensel is just getting a little bit too excited. And he knows this is the time where he can actually make the move and get up to the final. But will it be at the cost of his teammate? He needs to make sure that he doesn't hit them, because the golden rule of racing, do not hit your teammate. Otherwise, well, just to put it simply, he'll get quite a big bollocking at the end of the day.
Okay, so I will say that down into Lodge Corner, the classic image from the British Touring Car Championship a few years ago with the two Honda teammates. You speak of teammates, the two Honda teammates, Matt Neal and Gordon Shedden, both getting into each other and ending up in the gravel trap there on the final lap of the race, allowing Jason Plato to go through and win. It can happen, and it has happened in the past, but really it's not quite close enough to make any moves right now. But heading through on this final lap, one driver who doesn't need to worry is the man up at the front of the field, your race leader Alessandro Bachelega. You can see 1.9 seconds ahead as we head on up over Hilltop and then plunging down towards the chicane once again. And really, he's just had it nice and calm. It was close to start with, was the battle. I think Fraser has decided to just back off that little bit. He doesn't need to press on quite as much as he was, because he's had that opportunity and he realised it wasn't happening, so just get that solid result. He's got a big enough gap back to 3rd place. That 3rd place battle still ongoing at the moment, but we'll focus on your race leader though as you head on down into Lodge Corner for the final time in this second of 3 heat races. Through the right-hander, then plunge down and then back uphill through Deer Leap and across the line, and Alessandro Bachelega will take the victory here in heat number 2 of round number 2 of the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series. Fraser Smith in 2nd place, and then Omar Shama, Sandro Petrozelio rounding out 4th place, and then the rest of the finishers, which we'll see up on screen very shortly indeed. There you go, there's your results. So the Italian ends up winning this one ahead of Fraser Smith from the UK, and then the SRC Squadra Corsa driver of Omar Shama with Sandro Petrozzello and Marcus Icon from Battle Park Esports both qualifying, and Hensel and Eckhart will have to qualify from the Consolation. Now the final of the heat races. Jason Cooper pole position ahead of Patrick Kubinch with Reinhard Heibel and Martin Eschart in 4th place. Kai Hitchler in 5th with Sam Dunstall in 6th place, and then Kevin Weinrich rounding out the 7 cars, as you can see them on their pacing right now. And just very, very briefly here, Samil, Heat 2, again, a bit close action, but this 3rd heat we saw last time out, it was really action-packed in the final heat. Could we see that again?
Oh yeah, we definitely could. And in this heat, you don't really want to be the guys going out in the Consolation, because immediately after this, barely a few seconds later, you have to jump back again in the car for another 6 laps of the Consolation race. So yeah, it's going to be a bit tricky. Again, I'm expecting more of the same, drivers to be a bit more cautious. But if we can get a few crashes here, if you can see a couple of guys going a bit frantic, maybe we could just have a fun race. The safety cars pulled in, and we go green here for the final heat race at Oulton Park.
Yep, absolutely. Across the line then to start this final heat race. Down into turn number 1, Jason Cooper started on pole position, keeping it in pole position. 2nd place is Patrick Kubinch, with then battling further on as a car on the grass there dropping to the back. That was Martin Aschart, who got bullied out the way, and look at them all. They're all scrapping it out there, and this is all over 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th as they're heading into Ireland for the first time. Through the left-hander, very easy to go wide there. Bit of contact, front to rear contact, dive to the inside, more contact on the rear. Now those two at the back don't want to fight too hard because they could end up losing the pack here.
No, exactly. What you're watching here isn't the Heusinkveld TCR series. You're watching bumper cars. That was an absolutely ridiculous start that we saw over there. All these cars just going literally nose to tail with each other. And now Weinrich is on the charge with Dunstall right ahead of him. Dunstall, of course, in that important 5th position. Here he goes, Weinrich down to the inside. Oh no, but Dunstall just cuts the line off at the right moment.
That's Aschart, actually, in 7th place, who's trying to make his way through. He feels he's the quicker driver here, but he's just making mistakes. He's got a little bit of front right damage as Aschart at the back of your pack. So these two drivers at the back of the pack got a little bit of damage from that little bit shenanigans happening in the opening of this race. But it's Cooper in the lead ahead of Kabinji, with Heibel in 3rd place, Hitchler in 4th, and Samuel Dunstall Racing in 5th place. But more action, more drama going into Lodge Corner there for Dunstall, because he's on the bubble here and he's not been able to break away here yet.
Oh, he hasn't, but somehow he just managed to drift a front-wheel drive car. I don't know if that's possible, but Dunstall almost lost it, kept it in control, and now he's back on track in P5. Weinrich and Aschart are closing down quickly, and as Dunstall, you just do not want to lose out on that position. It is the ever-so critical 5th place, and it seems like the gap the gap between the cars behind of him is a bit closer than the gap of the cars up ahead of him. So Dunstall in a bit of a precarious situation, leading a bit of a lonely race at this point, but it could just swing either way any moment. So Dunstall, of course, having to be a bit careful, but Cooper up ahead. Cooper has pulled out a gap of 1.7 seconds. And say what you want, Jason Cooper, that is an absolutely commanding performance. He did the same at the Nürburgring, didn't put a foot wrong, and he's a firm but fair racer, and he's showing exactly that right here today. Kabinji, well, he's an exciting driver. He can make the moves when necessary, but Cooper just seems to be so far off, and he's just had an electric start, Paul.
Yeah, the Team RSO driver, Jason Cooper, Range Sport Online, they're up at the head of the field. So he's heading in towards Druids right now. It's a battle for second place. It's actually the closest out on track at the moment between Kubinji and Heibel. So Heibel there, Reinhard Heibel, third place in his rather uniquely coloured car. Plenty of blue and yellow on that car as they head on through Lodge Corner once again, up through Deer Leap and across the line. So those two pretty close together. His teammate of Kevin Weinrich is starting to gain on fifth placed Sam Dunstall. So Heibel's teammate is putting the pressure on. Speaking of putting the pressure though, it is on for second place because Heibel was trying to take advantage of a little mistake there from Kubinji in turn number 1 at Old Hall. But through, you see, Ireland isn't overtaking opportunity, and Shell is also not really an overtaking opportunity. But you compromise the line into here, the car in front, you can get the better run out the corner heading in towards Britain's.
Oh yes indeed, and Hislopes could be a place where he can actually make the move, try and set it up after the chicane. He needs a good exit for that. Clips the apex, well done. Clips the second one as well, and as we see Kubinji just going a little bit wide over here. It's a good run for Heibel, closing in on the slipstream. Does he have the guts to make it go this time out? Goes to the outside. Oh my goodness, here he comes side by side heading into Hislopes. Oh my goodness, Kubinji shuts the door, but Heibel is still right there, and Hitchler is the car who's also closed down once again as they go past Knickerbrook. So things are just getting ever so close, ever so exciting as we see one of the cars going around at the back there. That was Weinrich, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
And if he hadn't made that mistake right there, that would have been a lot closer than what it is for fifth place as well. So we've got battles for second place, battles for fifth, and we're coming up to the halfway point of the race as well. So through Lodge Corner again, and Kubinji just running wide through Lodge into Deer Leap. It's going to compromise your run, but it's not too bad as they head into Old Hall. Fourth gear corner through here, and look at that Hischler behind as well. Halfway point of the race is Cooper in the lead by 3.5 seconds. I'll say that again, 3.5. That is absolutely massive, is that lead in such a short time. Kubinji and Heibel, they're battling out for second place with Hitchler in third place as well. Then a bit of a gap back to fifth place, Sam Dunstall, who has got about 0.8 of a second between him and Weinrich. So at the moment, that battle for fifth isn't going to be on for the time being, but you never know. We're on the halfway point of this race, and it could be on towards the end of this one. But into Britain's once again. Left and the right. Left again, up over the hill. And Heibel just not close enough this time to make any moves. The outside line is never going to work into Hislopes like he tried last time out. You need to get to that inside line to mill. But you can, if you compromise that other driver, if you hold the outside line and compromise that line into the chicane, as once again Kubinji running wide through Knickerbrook, if you compromise them through that first part of the chicane, you can really get the slingshot out of Knickerbrook, up the hill, up Clear Hill towards Water Tower.
Exactly, and unless you do that, well, the only way you're going to get around over there, around the outside, is if the other guy breaks, 50 or 100 meters right before you. That's a rather tricky corner to make a move around the outside. Doable on the inside, though. Right, I think that's Asher at the back trying to get a bit racy. He's over there in P7. He knows for a fact that with only a couple of laps to go, he needs to get back up into P5. Dunstall is under immense pressure. Here they go, Weinrich to the outside. Turn 1 is a rather risky place to make a move. They're about to make contact. Oh my goodness, they make contact, but Weinrich is on the track. So Dunstall is getting really racy over there, getting really excited, and he keeps that position. But the question is, Paul, for how long? Because Weinrich is now closing up. Asher is looking to pick the pieces. He goes to the outside, Weinrich to the inside, and guess what? Sam Dunstall has lost his fifth place, and now Asher is here as well.
Yeah, that was a massive mistake from Sam then in towards Cascades. Let the door open there. Island corner, a little bit of a quarter panel tap there. Gets a little bit loose as Dunstall does well to hold on to that car. Of course, with a front wheel drive car, you just keep the power absolutely flat out and you can save that incident. But he's losing ground on Weinrich now. This is losing his opportunity of automatically qualifying for the final of this round of the championship as they head on downhill once again in towards Hislopes. on the brakes there, Dunstall. He closed right up, but it was too hard on the brakes. And here we come, Asher now looking to the inside of Knickerbrook. It's not happening. Time is running out for these guys, and right now Weinrich is in that bubble spot, and he's pulling away here.
Weinrich somehow he sustained the pressure incredibly well. Like a piece of wood pretty much, just not letting the pressure pass through him. And he's safe and comfortable in P5, but Dunstall and Asher, they're still getting on his back. There still could be a couple of chances left on the final lap when Weinrich could be a bit vulnerable. The leader, of course, Cooper, has started the final lap, and the gap, in only 6 laps, the gap has come to 4.3 seconds. If that isn't incredible, I just have no idea about what is. Asher now in P7, trying to close in on Dunstall. This could be his final few opportunities. Right, for this left-hander, is there an opportunity around the outside that's going to be very risky, but he decides to stay behind now. Dunstall closing in a little bit. Weinrich still doing a good commanding job as we see the other cars just swoop past over there. They're doing a fine job. They're pretty much safe for the final, but these guys aren't. Only Weinrich is, and Dunstall is on the move.
I'll tell you what, Dunstall has closed back up to Weinrich there, so Weinrich must have made a mistake through Cascades. And look at him, right up to the rear bumper of Weinrich in front.
Defining moment coming up.
Yeah, this is the crucial battle that we need to be watching then. Into Britain's. Get the run out of here, Sam. Get the run up over Hilltop. Now you're going to see the car in front stick. Oh, he's going to the middle of the road. He's trying to make Sam choose one way or the other. Goes to the inside. Little bit of rubbing. Bang! Contact between the two of them. Dunstall, can he keep carrying on? Asher has gone round now as well. Unbelievable action here at the end of this heat race. We said that the third race was always the action-packed one, and we've certainly got that. But Sam Dunstall, amazingly, is up into 5th place. Looking forward to the front of your field though. Jason Cooper down through D-Elite then for the final time across the line, and the Team RSO driver an absolutely domination at the front of the field to take the win here in the third and final heat race of this evening. Kabinji, Reinhard Heibel, Hitchler and Dunstall will be the final of the qualifiers. We'll get the results up on screen there. And it's going to be Weinrich and Asher who make it in. Are going to have one more final chance in the consolation race coming up here in just a minute's time. But Samil, that was crazy.
Well, we said that before this race there were going to be a few lumps and bumps across the way, and guess what? We saw exactly that. That battle for 5th place, my goodness, it just heats up so much towards the final lap, because all the drivers realize that, you know what, this is go time. Let's keep that aside for later on, because the starting grid for the consolation race is here. Michael Schottler in pole for this one. Marion Hensel, is in second. Kevin Weinrich is in third, with Stephen Freiberghaus starting in P4, Paul.
Yes, we'll move down through the grid then. 5th place is going to be Philip Eckhardt with Martin Asher. Chassenay Vincent, who didn't actually take the start of the first race, first heat race, he's going to be starting in 7th place, if indeed he does take the start, because he's not actually in the session. So we've only got 6 cars battling it out for 5 qualifying places here. So one driver is going to be leaving here, Samil, very disappointed.
Oh yes indeed, and that could mean that this race is going to be fairly frantic. We saw it in the last one about how these drivers can get ever so racy when it comes to the matter of elimination. Over here, one driver could be on their way out and the others will be on their way to the final. Of course, the finishing positions for this one determine the grid positions for the final race coming up. And I'm sure, Paul, that this one is going to live up to the reputation that we've had here at the Heusinkveld TCR Sprint Cup Championship. I'm sure it's going to be quite fun. The heat races have gone past. This is the final consolation race, and things can get rather exciting over here. Here we go.
Yeah, it's the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series then. The consolation race. We're going to be getting underway. The pace car will pull into the pits here, and then the drivers will get the green flag. Green flag's in the air. Away we go then for the consolation race. 5 of these 6 drivers will make it to the final. It's going to go too wide in for second place. Side by side through Old Hall then between Hensel and Weinrich as they head on down through Denton's into Cascades now. Battle for fourth and fifth place between the two teammates as well of Eckert and Freiberghaus. They need to work together because Asher is at the back of them and he's looking racy early on here. So down in towards the island bend right now, through the left onto the brakes. Cold rear tyres, they will be a factor in this opening lap, but through the right hander and away they go towards Britain's for the first time here, Samil.
Oh yeah, that was a rather clean start over there. Some drivers getting a bit frantic, but again not making contact with each other. Over here, Asher and Freiberghaus, this is the battle for P5, the final defining position, and these guys are getting a bit too naughty with each other. Asher on the nose, here he comes. Oh, is he going to make a move this time up? He says, you know what, I'll wait for this one. Maybe I can make him move a couple of corners later on. So Asher biding his time, understanding that this is a bit of a long game. Only 6 laps though, so it's not as long as you would perceive, but still there are many more opportunities yet to come. We are now riding on board with Philip Eckert in P4. He's safe, but obviously as Philip Eckert, you would want to get higher up the grid so that you can qualify a bit better for the final race. Of course, championship points are on offer in this one, and you want to maximize it as much as you possibly can.
Yep, so down into Lodge Corner for the first time in this consolation race. It is the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series consolation race. The 5 of these 6 drivers in this race will go on to take up the final 5 slots on this final race of the evening as they head on down through Denton's into Cascades once again. I'll tell you what, Weinrich is actually 3rd place, not that far ahead of these drivers behind. So 3rd through to 6th is all pretty close. It's about a second between the lot of them. So this battle, nobody's safe really at the moment apart from the top 2. They've managed to make a little bit of a breakaway here, but yeah, 3rd down to 6th, it's all battling it out, trying to qualify for this final.
No, exactly. You can try and see Freiberghaus, I think it is under a bit of pressure from Asher right behind of him. So again, shortly at the top, we saw him being forced into making a mistake heading into turn 1 on the first lap of the first heat race. And now that he's got a bit of free space, got a bit of free air, you can see just what he can do in a good TCR car on Oulton Park. He's developed a gap of around 1.15 seconds, and that's quite a fair bit. So Hensel also doing a good job. But this one right here, Weidrich, Eckert, Freiberghaus and Asher, this is the battle for P3, and this could play out to be a major difference, because if these guys are in a good starting position in the final race, it could have a major impact. So at the moment only Asher is the guy under the radar of elimination. Maybe if you can get a Freiberghaus, he could get into the final race. He's heading a bit racy, goes to the outside and sprays up a big cloud of dust. Right now they're going single file, Paul, and nobody seems to be making any major mistakes. So just this race is calming down a little bit, but I kind of have a feeling that Asher will be trying to get a bit frantic rather soon.
Well, is this the calm before the storm? That's what we're asking here. We're on board then on the roof of Asher in 6th place. Chasnay Vincent does not take part in this race, so he is eliminated from this one. Freiberghaus in front, running wide through Old Hall there. Now there is that combination, as you mentioned earlier, of grasscrete, so it's like a mixture of grass and concrete sort of pad there to run out wide on. It's just so that Jonathan Palmer doesn't get his lovely grass ruined around this track. But through the left-hander island, the chances are there. We're on lap 3 right now. Oh, braking mid-corner, Freiberghaus. That's not ideal. Through Shell Corner, through the right little king, in towards Britain's now. Up over the curb, left, right, then back left again. Get the run out of the chicane here, up over Hilltop. Not quite close enough here, Asher, to be able to make any moves for the time being. But we're heading towards the midpoint of the race. Bang! Contact! A little bit late on the brakes there, Seville.
A little bit. Well, that's quite a bit of an understatement. Asher just came in there and plowed through the rear wing, to the rear bumper of Freiberghaus over there. Thankfully, Freiberghaus is still on the road, but Asher, my goodness, he just thought, okay, I've had enough of this. Here he goes, smashed the rear bumper, and the iRacing damage model is so good that you can actually see the damage right there, clear in HD right in front of you. Asher now on the chase, and this kind of gives you a pretty good idea about how desperate he's getting. He doesn't want to be the only person on the entire grid not to race in the final. That's a bit like the fear of missing out that you're kind of seeing, and that naturally happens. Asher is on the charge. He needs to get something done. 3 laps to go here, if I'm not mistaken. Lap 4, 5 and 6 for this one. Schurtler is doing a tremendous job at the front, but if I'm not mistaken, that is Freiberghaus going slightly wider than he should have, and Asher is trying to capitalize on that. He's got a fair bit of time, but he needs quite a good driving performance. But take a look at it, Paul. I don't think he's got the raw pace that something like Weinbrück or Eckert has had so far. So Asher, his job is just getting a little bit trickier by the lap.
Well, it's going to be a little bit trickier because of the damage that he's got in the front of the car as well. It's not the fastest of tracks around here, so it shouldn't affect your top speed too much around this track, that damage, but you will be affected slightly around here, especially going in through the island bend into the hairpin there, and then up over hilltop down in towards the Hislop chicane. So it will be affecting him, and he will be feeling the effects of that. And in fact, he's fallen back to about a second, almost a second back. And in fact, he's made a mistake at Britain's, and he's falling back even more. So Asher, his chances are going by the second here, 2.3 seconds behind now, and he could just see the light at the end of the tunnel just getting dimmer and dimmer here, Samil.
Yeah, things really aren't looking well for Asher. Perhaps he'll have to, well, digest the bullet and understand that maybe his opportunities of scoring big points over here at this round in Oulton Park have, let's say, gone away for a toss. So perhaps he can try and maximize his points in the next round at Barcelona. But things are looking ever so bleak here for Asher. Freiberghaus, though, his 5th place is secure, but can he get a late push? Can he just try and make something happen in this last couple of laps and get a position up ahead that can help him out in the final race? Looks a bit dicey, but again, never say never in these TCR Heat races.
Well, the two teammates of Eckert and Freiberghaus won't want to get involved in each other, that's
Absolutely.
for sure. They'll be happy just to make it through into the final, give themselves the opportunity of getting the points. Remember, it's championship points that you really score big in the final race, so that's what goes towards the championship standings. There are little bonus points available as well for the top three finishers of each of the heat races, so a little bit of an incentive there for drivers to do well and to push on in the heat races. But it's that final that's the most important thing. It's running wide there. Schurtler really carrying the speed through the Britain's chicane as he goes up over the hilltop, downhill once again. And the thing that these drivers will suffer with slightly here, Samil, is the fact that they go straight away from this race into the grid for the final.
Oh yeah, the preparation time, well, it isn't the best in the world, is it? So there could be one advantage to this as well, that the drivers, they're right and fresh, so they know the track temperatures and track conditions perfectly well. Not that they change a lot between each of the heats, but let's say if there's a change of even a slight degree, that can make a huge impact, as we have seen time and again on iRacing. Of course, the weather is dynamic, so the drivers, well, they're in a bit of a momentum, and going from one race to the other, that can actually help them out a fair bit. So maybe that could just play into their hands as we see the leader coming through to start the final lap. And of course, one thing I'd like to remind that in the last round at the Nürburgring, Fraser Smith won the Consolation Race, and immediately after that, he had such a good race that he ended up finishing P4 in the final one. So maybe that momentum that you get there in the Consolation Race can help you out a fair bit in the final. So if something like what Fraser Smith did in the last round can be replicated, these guys could be in for a treat of a final round. But Schurtler at the top, he has just been absolutely marvellous, hasn't he, Paul?
Oh, absolutely. So let's remember one thing. The first heat race was about 50 minutes ago it started. So the drivers from that first heat race have been sat around for the best part of, 40 minutes, shall we say. They've not had chance to practice here whilst this race has been ongoing. They've had to just sit there and watch the rest of the teams and rest of the drivers battling it out as... Oh boy! That's That's second place. That's Hensel. He's hit one of the tyre walls at the chicane, and that is exactly what Ashert needed then. It's going to be one of the tyre walls. I heard the noise. I heard it, and the producer heard it as well, and he's tried to take too much of that inside curb, and bang into those tyre walls do not move. I know that from a past experience there, but yeah, just hits that tyre wall, no chance of going anywhere else. That's it. He's already out the session. He's had enough. He's done the old Alt F4 trick, and he's out. He's gone. So we're gonna have the 5 finishers for this race go into the final race there, but it's gonna be Michael Schuttler who wins the consolation final across the line then. So the consolation race there gets him qualified for the final. It's Weinrich, Eckert, Freiberghaus and Aschert who finish off in the top 5 of this race. We'll get the official results up very shortly indeed, as we'll look at that now, hopefully, he says, when the producer panicking. But yeah, Schuttler, Weinrich, Eckert, Freiberghaus and Aschert, surprising addition to this final in Aschert. So let's go through the grid, because we've got 20 cars to get through here in this final then. So the first 3 positions are going to be the 3 winners from each of the heat races. Rolf Balfour, Alessandro Bacchialega and Jason Cooper in 3rd place. Dennis Neidhart in 4th place on the grid, with Fraser Smith and Patrick Kubinjic in 5th and 6th. Andrei Rakovic and Omar Sharma 8th place. Then on the 5th row of the grid, Reinhard Heibel, Marcel Frisch in 10th place. Sandro Petrozelio, man who's in 3rd place in the championship round, starts row number 6 with Kai Hitchler in 12th place. 13th for Max Riedmuller, Marcus Eichhorn in 14th. Sam Dunstall 15th. Again, he was a surprise one to make it into this final. Then the drivers from that consolation race, Michael Schuttler, and the rest of the grid, Weinrich, Eckert, Freiberghaus and Aschert are your starters. 20 drivers for this final race. It's a 12-lap race is what we've got to look forward to here. And well, this is the race that we've all been looking forward to. It was absolutely manic and chaotic last time out the Nürburgring, but how will they get on here in the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series, the final race of round number 2. This is where the points are scored, around Lodge Corner. Under starters orders then, your pole position man, Ross Balfour, leads them on the inside for Old Hall Corner. Green flag in the air. Fraser Smith already darting out to the right-hand side, trying to get between the pit wall and the 3rd place man, Jason Cooper, in towards Old Hall for the first time. Side by side, 2 abreast as they go through there. Through Denton's, down into Cascades for the first time. Downhill braking, cold tyres. Get the car slowed down, get your apex, running through there. We've got one car running a little bit wide further back, but everybody seems to have been okay at the start of this final. But it's Ross Balfour out at the front, just 0.3 of a second. The dirt's been kicked up. There's a big accident further down. Sam Dunstall is one of those drivers who's involved. The 69 car of Michael Schuttler as well, another one. And well, there's some help. It just got a little bit too hectic and a little too close.
Oh, exactly. It all can get a bit too wild here at Oulton Park. As we said at the start, it's not exactly the widest circuit in the world, and if something happens over there, well, as we're seeing in this replay, a touch of the barricade, a touch of the bumper, and off they go. 2 or 3 cars involved in this hectic incident that we saw at the start, heading towards the hairpin. Things can just get oh so wild over here. But let's focus on the bigger picture. It's a 12-lap race, this one. So the focus, the approach for this race is going to be slightly different in terms of the heats. Of course, it's double the length, so it's not really the longest race in the world, I'll be honest. But still, your approach, your strategy, and your thinking towards this one will be slightly different. And with the thing with these TCR cars is that they're a bit deceptive. When you try and see them going slow, they actually may be going a bit faster. So at this moment in time, the leader is doing quite a good job, Ross Balfour.
I've just noticed on my timing streak, Marcus Eichhorn has had an incident and has dropped back on my timing screen. So the 53 car of Marcus Icon has had an incident and has ended up out of this race. So he's going to finish out in 20th place in this race here. But across the line then we saw them Ross Balfour leading ahead of Alessandro Bachelega, with Jason Cooper in 3rd place, Dennis Neidhart in 4th with Fraser Smith 5th, Patrick Kubinji in 6th place, and then we've got battling further back as well. There's a car going side by side, well actually Rajkovic and Petrozilo as well, they're going side by side heading in towards the hairpin, and they're into the back then of the car in front. A little bit of contact. That's a push to pass right there, but not the type that you get in Indy cars.
And that is exactly what happens. The literal thing that you could think of when he actually tapped the barricade, tapped the bumper and moved past was, move away, peasant, that's my position. And just gave a little bit of a kiss of love and shoved him aside and got the position done. Well, that's a rather creative way of getting a move done, Paul.
I don't think there was much love involved in that one, that's for sure. As that was shove him out the way, get out my way, I'm coming through here. And that's what Omar Shama did to Sandro Petrozilo. So we have had a few drivers have incidents. Reinhard Heibel, Marcel Frisch have dropped down 7 places each, with Sam Dunstall 3 and Michael Schurtler 3 places as well, although he's just made it past Sam Dunstall on my timing screen that I can see here. But moving forward, you've got your race leader there, Ross Balfour, and Alessandro Bachelega is doing a fantastic job of keeping with Ross here. Half a second between the two of them. Jason Cooper, another white car, but the Team RSO driver in 3rd place is Balfour, running very wide through Old Hall.
What we have seen in all the races so far, that Balfour has been pretty much unchallenged by anyone. No, neither in the heats, neither in the finals. But now that Bachelega has come up on the scene, he's doing a tremendous job to stay with Balfour and actually be a legitimate contender for the race wins along with Balfour over here. He's giving him a proper run for his money, and now you can finally see Balfour getting a bit tense and seeing his match right next to him. Here he comes, Bachelega, going nose to tail. A move into this first chicane seems unlikely, but something can be done into the second one and perhaps at the exit of Nürburgring.
We've got an instant further back as Petrozilo has actually forced Riedmuller wide onto the grass, and Riedmuller loses a place to Kai Hitchler. So that was an instant just on the exit of Shell Hairpin. Hopefully we can have a look at that one in a second, because Riedmuller is trying to actually make the plays back here on Hitchler, but we'll have a look at the replay, and we'll want to keep it on the replay in a second, because Hitchler has had a massive instant in the chicane that I've seen on my screen. But you can see how the pushed wide there was Riedmuller. Now keep with Hitchler just in front, because you are going to see something massive happen. He's got helped into the chicane, and watch this, Riedmuller to the outside, wanted to make the move, and bang, quarter panel right around. He glances the barriers. He shouldn't actually have too much damage there, but that drops him back down the order. An absolute disaster there, down to 18th now for Kai.
That was a rather unusual move, what happened over there. I mean, you don't really see the car just sliding around and going all the way up in the barriers like that. But well, for Kai, it's all to do here. It's a Herculean task on the charge. Around, what, 8 laps to go in this race? If you can get something done, that'll be a mighty big achievement over there. Right, we see the cars going single file here, not much going so far. But again, this is a slightly longer race, and the drivers biding their time, understanding the essence, and maybe looking to make moves later on. We've still seen drivers go side by side, still seen them go a bit aggressive, as we see another move being made over here. That is for P12. But Paul, at this moment in time, we're not seeing much being done here. Weintrick, I think that was the one who made the move for P12. So Weintrick, of course...
It was Asher, sorry.
It was Asher, I'm sorry, yeah. So Asher actually making the move done. But Paul, I'd like to get my point back on Asher, because in the last race, he didn't really have the best of ones. Qualified in the most dramatic of fashions because of one crash that happened in the final consolation race. So what do you think is going to happen to him? He's looking a bit racy over here today.
Well, this is it. You've been handed this opportunity when you thought everything was gone and lost, and he's moved forward through this field. He's the biggest mover and shaker in your field, here so far in this race. There's been a couple of incidents which just helped him move forward. You'll see those positions gained up on the left-hand side, although the bottom two are the wrong way around. But Ashert is up 9 positions in this race at the moment, so he's having a great final race here after starting this race down in 20th place. So started at the back of the grid, is progressing forward, heading towards the top, although he's having a battle once again with Weinrich.
Oh yes indeed, started from the bottom, and here he is. They're going side by side heading into turn 1. Single file once again. They know for a fact that you can't really go too wide heading into turn 1, because that is quite simply the recipe for disaster. It's not exactly the widest circuit in the world. Here they come for this left-hander, still biding their time, playing the longer game, trying to understand when is the right time to make a move. Ashert, Riedmüller and Weinrich, all these cars are involved in this one. Freiberghaus is the car who got on board with past this quick left-hand kick. Heading into the hairpin, is this a chance ball? He goes to the outside, looks for something, but gets nothing in return.
But this is it. If you try and line them up through the hairpin, get the run out of the hairpin towards Britain's, but it's just not enough this time as they head on through into the chicane, clattering over the curbs. Mistake there from Ashert at the chicane. That's going to give Weinrich the opportunity down to the left-hand side, onto the brakes into the Hislop chicane. You can make it side by side, and Ashert and Weinrich making it a little bit of contact between the two of them through Knickerbrook, then the right-hander back up the hill through up Clay Hill once again, and it's Ashert who does hang on to that position. But one little mistake around here, and it's easy to make those mistakes, and you see how you're then in trouble.
Oh yes indeed. Well, Ashert, Weinrich and Freiberghaus, they're just on the tail of each other, and that is what happens at the circuit. You just stick around with each other, as is Bacilega on the tail of Ross Balfour. I'm still surprised that Balfour hasn't pulled away, and Bacilega is doing just a superb job just to stay with him, considering the prowess of Balfour that we've seen in this series so far. The question is though, when will Bacilega actually make the move, get close enough, and maybe make a lunge for the lead? That time seems to be coming in later on, because Balfour is extending his gap lap after lap, corner after corner. But Bacilega is turning out to be a good competitor for Balfour. And hopefully, my fingers are crossed, hopefully we get to see an exciting finish between these guys. But something's happened at the back there.
Yes.
A big crash. Oh,
and it's Weinrich and Ashert. So Ashert, after starting at the back of the field, after moving his way through, let's have a look. That was down at Cascades. So,
no.
The contact has been made at Denton's, and then bang, they get together. Oh, and they can't get themselves apart there, and that's going to be, that's going to be the end of the race there for Weinrich. And he decides to take it back to the pits, but it's a contact here in through Denton's which causes the initial incident, and then the two just get hooked together there. Freiberghaus has absolutely nowhere to go and says, right, well, I suppose I'll make my way through that way. But his teammate, Philip Eckhart, actually made up the most positions out of all of that.
Yeah, exactly. Those two guys, well, how romantic. They're just going to get untangled out of each other, out of their love. But yeah, certainly not the ideal situation for both of them. The battles are far from over here, though. Still going on, still going nose to tail, single file here. It's a tricky track to make your overtakes, but if you can get something done, well, the rewards are mighty huge. Of course, major points on offer here at this Oulton Park race. Now here they go side by side. The number 17 car, Dunstall.
And he's made the move. He's made it stick. And nice that is up ahead of Steven Freiberghaus. So Freiberghaus losing yet another place on this lap there. So losing 2 places overall. Though he's not going to give that one up. Looking to the outside of Old Hall. You can then get the run through that corner. Now we saw how there was the incident caused by this sort of similar position on the last lap, but Dunstall gives the space there through Denton's because he knows he's got the inside for Cascades, the left-hander. He's made his way through there. We're past the halfway point of this race, by the way. Your race leaders are your top three, which is Ross Balfour, Alessandro Bacialega and Jason Cooper. So that's the podium positions for the time being, with Dennis Neidhart in fourth place, Fraser Smith fifth, and Patrick Kubinji in sixth place. So that's the top six there. But then you see this battle here, Rakovic and Omar Shama, and we saw how Shama was quite forceful earlier on in the race, getting pretty close once again, and Shama wants to try and make the moves on the team car of Nicotime's team car right there at the front of that one. That's Rakovic.
Yeah, Chama realizes that Rakovic isn't any pushover, and he'll have to get this move done the hard way round. It's certainly doable. Chama is a rather aggressive driver, had a bit of a calm race at Nürburgring. Here though, it's quite the opposite. Once again, there's a battle brewing up right behind of these guys, and that is the one, if I'm not mistaken, that is the one for P10, so that's Petrozillo and Riedmuller. So Petrozillo and P9 defending hard from Riedmuller right there, only a gap of a couple of tenths, and if these guys work together, they can maybe close up and get to the battle for round one. P7, that is, right in front of them. Here he comes, still nose to tail. Under some tremendous pressure now, Petrozillo from Riedmuller. Riedmuller's fairly aggressive. We've seen him not being afraid of getting the elbows out and trying to make the moves that he really wants to. With only around 4 laps to go, he'll have to get something done rather sooner than later. Coming towards the left-hand king at the hairpin now, Paul.
We've got 15 cars remaining in the race. You can see your top 6 there running their way through Shell hairpin as they're heading on through into Britain's once again up over the curbs and out. Oh, Ross Balfour just running a little bit wider than he would have liked, but he's okay because the second place man of Bacialega followed him there. We're on board with Jason Cooper, the Team RSO driver. Now, Jason Cooper has actually closed up that little bit on Bacialega this last lap, I do believe, and that means that he's able to get right onto the tail, but there's nothing between them at all, between those top 3. They're doing pretty much equal times. Now, Dennis Neidhart in 4th place has been matching the leader's pace. In fact, Fraser Smith in 5th place has been going quicker. In fact, Patrick Kubinji in 6th place has got the fastest lap of the race, a 43.341. So he's the man on pace at the moment, and he's putting Fraser Smith under all sorts of pressure.
Oh yeah, Kubinji, I'm not really surprised. At the Nürburgring, he was a wall. His car seemed to be 10 feet wide and nobody seemed to be able to pass him. Here though, he's showing an incredible amount of pace. Here he comes to the inside. Oh my goodness, no! You don't do that down the inside of turn 1. And naturally, that is just a sign of trouble. Contact over there, one of the other cars goes wide, and Kubinji all of a sudden is embroiled in a huge amount of trouble as we see the replay coming up, Paul.
Yeah, so it's so easy to catch a quarter panel. The rear quarter panel, when you're going into that corner, the rear end is so light because you're on the brakes, you're getting the car turned in. He loses a wing mirror through all of that, does Fraser Smith. Well, see this offboard then, and he just went for a move that wasn't quite on there, and it's Fraser Smith who really comes off. He actually took quite a hard hit. Look at its tyres at the side of the track there. So, able to just carry on with just losing a wing mirror, but that's put Fraser Smith down to 6th place in that one. But Kubinji up to 5th now, but he's lost time on Dennis Neidhart, and in fact Dennis Neidhart is actually gaining on your lead battle. So 1st, 2nd and 3rd are going to have to start looking in the mirrors a bit more because Dennis Neidhart is making some moves forward.
Yeah, Dennis Neidhart, he's a fairly aggressive driver, but likes to keep it clean as well. So there's a battle going on for P8 right around now, and that is Andrei Rakovic at the top of it. Riedmuller and Petrozillo, they're just swapping paint with each other so regularly. Take a look at this one, that'll be coming up on the screen rather shortly. And this is the midfield battle. This is where all the action takes place primarily because these drivers, they're just so bunched up with each other that more often than not, they just end up making contact and produce the kind of racing that we're all here to watch. Right? Going rather cleanly, Riedmuller, Petrozillo. These guys are in the thick of it. Right, number 13 is the car, and that is, well, if I'm not mistaken, that is the car of Max Riedmuller in the number 9. So something's happened to Kyle Hischler, if I'm not mistaken. He's just disappeared off the timing screen.
Kai Hischler, he had that instant down at the chicane, down towards Hislop. So that happened earlier on. Whether he's then had to retire the car for something else, I don't know. But the lead battle has got really close. In fact, Bacilega was quicker than your race leader on the last lap, and these two have pulled away a gap. You can visibly see that the battle it did actually is pulled away slightly, so there is that gap there between second and third. Dennis Neidhart has pulled back just that little bit. He's not quite cut back towards falling off that top three again, but as they're going up the hill now, Bacilega in car 133 battling it out with Ross Balfour at the front, the core sim racing driver at the front, ahead of the Italian, no team affiliate, but these two pretty close together here, Samil.
Yeah, the way it's going right now, the way Bacilega is performing, you'll soon see that car full of sponsors. But come on, guys, throw some gasoline into this existing fire that we've got over here. Maybe there could be a chance for each of these drivers to get something done on the final couple of laps that we have here on this final race of this weekend. Well, Balfour has done a superb job at the top, and one thing he's doing quite well is managing his braking, because if you look at Balfour, he just is hitting every single one of those apexes and trying to manage the lines perfectly. Cooper now has set up the fastest lap, so he's another guy who's on the charge. But these leaders, well, Bacilega is closing up ever so much. Just observe their driving. This is a textbook way of how you drive a TCR cars, managing the trail braking extremely well, making sure that the nose points exactly where you want to, and being very calculated and very decisive in making your moves. And that is something that Bacilega has been so far. That is something that he should be later on in this race as well. Only a couple of laps to go. There is a chance, there's a looming opportunity for him to get into P1. He needs to pull out something magical from the hat though now, Paul.
The three race winners from the three heat races are battling it out for the win here in this final of round 2 of the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series through into Hislop's once again. Chances are running out here for Bacilega. The next opportunity is going to be down into Lodge Corner, the penultimate corner on the track. We're on the penultimate lap of this race. It's certainly been an action-filled, action-packed race, and if you are thinking, oh, this looks good, I want to take part in this, well, you can do. You can take part in this series. You can find details on the forums on iRacing, so make sure you check it out. We want to see you racing in the next round, because this grid, we need a bigger grid, because this is fantastic racing.
Absolutely.
Down through into the elite, but this is to start the final lap here, Samil. Time's running out now.
Time really is running out, and the way Ross Balfour has been defending his position with a great deal of valor, I am doubting that a move could be on the cards. But again, never say never. Totally chaotic racing cars and some chaos could be waiting right in the offing. Right, so Bacilega is doing a good job just by staying in there, but that's not enough. Although you'll be getting a fair bit of points by staying in P2, as a driver, you have a certain sense of pride and you want to be being on the top step of the podium, regardless of whether it's virtually or in reality. So for Bacilega, it's virtually now or never as we approach the hairpin. He's getting ever so closer, he's on the gearbox, but he's not making that move happen right now. So maybe there's a chance that he can force Balfour into making a mistake. He's got another car right behind of him. These three guys are right there at the top, the three musketeers I like to call them, Balfour, Bacilega and Cooper. And here they come, the Hislop chicane. Paul, this is a real opportunity. Will we see a last minute lunge over here? Only time will tell, and time is coming rather soon.
No, you won't see a move made. I think Bacilega has run out of moves here. He seemed quicker through the island corner, the island left-hander before the hairpin. That seems to be one of the strengths of this driver in second place. But Ross Balfour, he is the driver with the highest iRating in this race. He is an extremely fast driver in this Audi RS3 LMS TCR car as they head on down to Lodge for the final time. This is the last opportunity for Bacilega. He's not close enough, so it's going to be Ross Balfour for core sim racing through the final corner, through Dialeep. He'll see the checkered flag and will take the win here. 2 wins in a row in the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series. What a race. What a win for Ross. He was kept under pressure all the way through from Barcelona and Jason Cooper. Rest of your field is going to be coming through now. And, well, we're looking at Sam Dunstall there. Just up ahead, those two teammates of Freiberg House and Eckhart as they're coming across the line now. And, well, Samil, that was a hectic and action-packed final race.
Oh yes indeed. It wasn't really the kind of action that you normally associate with TCR cars, of lots of bumping and barging, but it was some good clean racing. We saw a couple of crashes here and there, but in the end it was a good long race with lots of drivers planning out their moves effectively, and that in the end made for some good action. And the end of the sprint race series, well, the Heat Series of course, it was a good round in the end to comprehend everything. Balfour coming off as the winner, but we have a good idea that other drivers can challenge his domination as well. Bachelega and Jason Cooper, watch out for them in Barcelona as we head over there for the next round of the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series.
Yep, so we'll run you through your race results here then. Ross Balfour, your race winner, 2 final race wins in a row. Alessandro Bachelega, good racing from him, only half a second behind in second place. Jason Cooper, within a second of the leader in third place there. Then a bit of a gap to Dennis Neidhart, who ended up on his own pretty much because Patrick Kabinji, well, he's the first driver who did not finish in the place that he started in. Started in 6th, finished in 5th, because of that incident between him and Fraser Smith at Old Hall Corner. Omar Shamat did some moves early on, able to finish 7th ahead of Andrei Rajovic. Max Riedmuller, 9th place for him after starting in 13th, so good drive from him. And Sandro Petrozelia round out the top 10. 11th place for Philip Eckhart in the iLiveries VIB E3 spots, just ahead of his teammate Stephen Freiberg House. Sam Dunstall in the Samuel Dunstall Motorsport car in 13th, with Marcel Fritsch in 14th. Martin Aschert 15th after having a storming start to the race, moving through the field, but then that contact down at Cascades causing him to fall down the field to 15th. And then the drivers who did not finish the race, Kai Hetschler, Kevin Weinrich, Michael Schuttler, Reinhard Heibel and Marcus Eichhorn rounded out the top 20 drivers. So what we'll do is we will just quickly step aside just for a brief moment while we catch our breath, and then it'll be the post-race show coming up here on the iRacing Esports Network. That's been round number 2 of the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series.
Well, we really enjoy developing high-end products for the sim racing market, and we really get enthusiastic about products which we want to use ourselves as well.
And this is the accumulation of almost 5 years of slow, continuous development. One of the most important things that I've learned over the years is that I don't know everything. I have some ideas, but it's useless if I'm the only one who likes the ideas. So yeah, we do have to listen, and we're quite happy to listen to feedback from sim racers, but also from professionals who use our products.
Here is a load cell, not off the shelf, but designed specifically to our own specifications. Springs also made to our specifications right here in the Netherlands. And best of all, the new rubbers also developed especially for this product for the Sim Battle Sprint.
Innovation really is at the core of a company. We started this company because we wanted to make products that were better than what was available at that time. Therefore, we're developing all the time. And with the Sim Battle Sprint, we really made a product which is a few steps ahead in the market again.
Well, we always follow the main forums at iRacing, and our German sim racers have a very active forum. And we get a lot of email and questions as well. Customers who, for example, say, well, those pro pedals, I love them, but perhaps I would like the brake pedal to feel a little softer. So we take that feedback in the new design with our custom developed rubbers, so that we can provide a slightly softer as well as slightly stiffer brake pedal. So the range of operation is increased, which is quite a big improvement.
This one gives absolutely the best feel, and it has been tested to over 1 million cycles, and it's still in one piece. So we have absolute confidence in this one.
What we've always had and still have with these pedals is that the form kind of follows the function. So we want minimum space usage, so everything has to be as compact as possible, but we also want minimum weight. And I'm always a spreadsheet guy, so I love to make calculation sheets where we can predict the forces of the clutch pedal, like how it falls off towards the end of the pedal. There's no guesswork, it's all engineered and designed, so beforehand we know with this spring, with this layout, we get this pedal force.
These pedals are very suitable for sim racers who build their own cockpit. They have a heavy-duty construction, they can work with high loads on a brake pedal, they're very accurate, they offer a lot of adjustability, and they really make you feel like you drive a real race car.
We have a software that we include that we've custom developed where you can change all sorts of settings, and it applies to the hardware. So the settings are saved on the chip on the controller board. So you can exit your simulator and you can change the curvature, the response curve of a pedal, and go back to your simulator and your pedal response will be different.
Not only for Assetto Corsa or Automobilista, but also for iRacing. So it works with iRacing. That makes it very, very easy to set up. Easier than we've had in the past.
Actually, some of the guys who do the assembly work on the work floor, they were already tweaking with it. This is a good setup for drifting, or I think this will improve my braking. So we see that there's a lot of room for tweaking. And let's face it, all sim racers, we like to tweak and mess with things. And there's an almost endless amount of options you can do with tweaking our software. And saving it as a profile, so you can always load it back, even share the profiles with your friends who use the same pedals.
Nowadays in sim racing, people can drive a large variety of cars. With the Heusinkveld Smart Control software, you can set up your pedal set for a road car or for a Formula 1 car and really drive away in just a few mouse clicks.
Well, there we go then. Round number 2 of the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series is in the books and in the can. And well, what a finale that was. Absolutely thrilling racing. Paul Smith here alongside Sunil Arora for the post-race show here on the iRacing Esports Network with RaceSpot TV. And we have got an interview. We didn't get one last time out, but this time we've got an interview. So Sunil, why don't you take it away with our second place finisher?
And we have got, oh yes indeed, it's Alessandro Bacilega, the driver who finished in second. Alessandro, are you here with us?
Hi guys.
Alessandro, well, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's your very first round in this TCR Heat Series. What a start, what a way to begin.
Yes, this is my debut in this series, and I am used to drive GT3 cars, endurance race. So another format, tough race, I really struggle a bit, but second place at the debut race, it's a good result. Ross and Cooper was very fast, and it's optimal result.
Absolutely. Second place is a fantastic way to start. And how did you adapt? Because you just said you usually drive GT3s and longer races. What was it like bringing it all down to, let's say, a 6-lap race over here? How fun was that?
Really fun, but really hard to, and afraid to commit a mistake. In this track, it's easy to make a mistake in the chicane. So very tough race. Really concentrated after with less time. Endurance races are more relaxing.
Definitely. And Alessandro, the next one is at Barcelona. How are you going to prepare for this one? Are you going to put in more practice sim time that could maybe make you in faster?
Sure, for sure, I will practice because I never drive in Barcelona. Only in another sim platform. So it's for sure I will practice more.
Well, definitely. Alessandro, before we let you go, any person, any team member that you'd like to thank for this one?
My teammate Omar and every teammate in the SRC Squadra Corse for the support. And that's all.
Well, once again, Alessandro, thank you so much for being here as a part of this
Thank you,
interview.
thank you,
Tremendous racing. Glad to have
Thank
you
you,
here.
guys. Respect another good job.
Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, was Alessandro Bacilega finishing in second place. A mighty impressive job in his debut race, Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series. And well, Paul, I guess it's time to conclude this broadcast, and after a fantastic race, I should say.
Well, I was just going to quickly touch on, so what were your thoughts then of these this racing here at Oulton Park as we look at the schedule of what's coming up, but just your final thoughts on what we've seen here today in this racing.
What can I say? I think it was a good combination of pretty much everything. We saw a lot of drivers not afraid to go side by side, not afraid to get their elbows out. And at the same time, we saw things spilling over as well. Certain drivers crashing out, certain going on the grass at times. So in the end, I think it makes for a good, nice and clean combination, so to say. Some good racing, some hard ones, some nice and easy single file racing action as well. And overall, I think it's a combination that a lot of us can digest and go home sleeping well at the end of a nice Friday night. So again, I just can't wait for the next round at Barcelona. That'll be at the Nacional Circuit. July the 3rd, it's a long way off, but trust me, that's going to be a lot of fun at a short track with these TCR cars, isn't it, Paul?
Well, this is it. It's a wide track as well because it is a Grand Prix track as Barcelona. Okay, we're using the national layout, so you basically at the end of the pit road you turn right rather than going all the way down to the Grand Prix turn 1. You turn right about just after pit road exit, so you're going to be hard onto the brakes into there. That's one overtaking opportunity. You've got the run down into the hairpin down the back straight as well. That's another overtaking opportunity. So these drivers are going to have a lot more wide open opportunities in that next round at Barcelona.
Yes, indeed. That is going to be one race to watch out for. This one, though, a good combination. Ross Balfour coming out on top in the end, but we've now realized that there are other people, other competitors who can challenge his reign at the top. And that, Paul, is quite a good thing for the series.
So don't forget, July the 3rd for the third round of the Heusinkveld TCR Heat Series. But that's going to be it for today's broadcast. Just a couple of people to thank and organisations as well. First of all, Heusinkveld Engineering for sponsoring this fantastic series that we're bringing to you here. $500 prize fund, so make sure you head on over to the iRacing forums to check out and get yourself involved in such a fantastic series. But people behind the scenes here as well, Arjuna Kankapati on the camera work and running the production side of things. Istvan Bala with TrackCams22.com providing us all of our track cameras. From Samil Aurora and from myself, Paul Smith, though, we'll see you next time, July the 3rd, for more action from Barcelona. Goodbye.